Make una help me. This woman won't finish me today.
Run am, Chris. She don't catch you.
Give am the broom.
Before Chris became the man running from a broom on every Lagos timeline, he was the man nobody dared to look in the eye. In Surulere, people didn't just step aside when he walked by. They cleared the whole walkway. Okada riders slowed down. Shop owners greeted him with forced smiles. Even children reduced their noise when Chris passed. He was the type of man who believed respect came from fear. Chest always out, voice always raised, face always squeezed like he had swallowed hot pepper. And for the longest time everybody allowed it. To Chris, Lagos wasn't just a city. It was a territory he owned. A place that owed him obedience. Years before the viral video, Chris married Amanda. A quiet, gentle woman raised to believe that a good wife never talks back, never complains, and never questions her husband. From the wedding reception, people could already see the red flags. The way Chris barked orders. The way Amanda nodded quickly, too quickly. The way her smile disappeared every time he turned away. But nobody said anything. No husband and wife matter. And in the minds of many, a husband had rights inside his home, even when those so-called rights were destroying a woman. The first time it happened, it was over food. Not money. Not a major disagreement. Just rice. Chris tasted Amanda's jollof and said it wasn't hot enough, even though steam was rising from the plate. Before she could explain, bam. The slap landed. Amanda froze. The plate trembled in her hands. From that day, a cycle began, one the neighbors heard but pretended not to hear. Amanda became a ghost in her own home. Always silent. Always apologizing. Always walking on eggshells. Some nights, her sobs traveled through the walls of the apartment building. People whispered, shook their heads, but no one knocked on that door. They told themselves, it's not our business. He's her husband. She should manage it. And Chris? He kept getting worse. One terrible night, after another round of shouting and beating, Amanda lay on their bed, breathing weakly. By morning, she didn't wake up. Doctors said stress and trauma had weakened her heart. Neighbors said it was sadness. But everyone knew the truth, even if no one said it out loud. At her funeral, Chris cried loud enough for everyone to see. But inside he felt nothing. He moved on with his life as if Amanda had been furniture. Something replaceable. And Lagos allowed him. Because the city had not yet met the one woman who would change his destiny. Months later, Chris married Irene. A quiet, innocent-looking young woman from Ibadan. Soft voice. Downcast eyes. Always saying, yes sir. Chris thought he had found another silent wife. Little did he know. He had married a storm disguised as a breeze. From the moment Irene stepped into Chris's apartment, she played her role like a well-rehearsed script. Cooking early. Cleaning quietly. Bending her head whenever Chris spoke. Apologizing for things she didn't even do. Neighbors watched and whispered, Chris don't get another Amanda. This one go suffer She too gentle. And Chris? He was proud. He told his friends at the bar. My wife no even breathe without permission. Not so woman suppose be. His friends laughed and clapped, admiring his so-called control. But what Chris didn't know was that Irene's obedience wasn't submission. It was strategy. Unknown to Chris, Irene had done her research before marrying him. She visited Amanda's relatives. She spoke with old neighbors. She found old messages, hospital reports. Everything she needed to know about Chris's dark past. People warned her, don't marry that man. He's dangerous. But Irene had a different mission. She didn't come to suffer. She came to end the cycle. She entered his home quietly, not as a victim but as a silent storm preparing to strike. For 6 straight months, Irene acted harmless. She cooked his favorite meals, ironed his clothes, cleaned the compound, smiled politely, lowered her eyes like someone afraid. And Chris, feeling untouchable again, slowly returned to the monster he once was. He raised his voice. He banged doors. He made demands. He criticized everything she did. To him, life had returned to normal. If only he knew the chapter life was about to open for him. One morning, Chris woke up to an unusual smell. Nothing. No eggs frying. No plantains sizzling. No tea boiling. The kitchen was empty. Chris shouted from the bedroom. Irene. Where's my breakfast? No response. He stormed into the living room and found her calmly scrolling through her phone like a queen on her throne. I'm talking to you. You know day hear word. He roared. Still no reaction. His anger rose, boiling hotter than Lagos sun at 2 p.m. He marched toward her, hand lifted, ready to slap. But before that hand could land, Irene moved. Swift, precise, deadly calm. She grabbed his wrist, twisted it behind his back, and pinned him to the couch so fast that Chris didn't even understand how he got there. Irene, what are you doing? Are you mad? He screamed. Her voice. Hold, steady, taken. Touch me again, and I will show this entire Lagos who you truly are. Chris froze. This was not the Irene he married. With his arms still locked painfully behind him, Irene leaned close and whispered, I know everything you did to Amanda. Chris's heart stopped. I know the neighbors you threatened. I know the nights she cried. I know how she died. Chris tried to pull away, but Irene tightened her grip. I didn't marry you to be your victim. I married you to give Amanda justice. He swallowed hard, sweat pouring down his face. Irene continued. From today you will do the cooking. You will clean. You will wash. And if you disobey, I will expose you to your office, your church, the police, and this entire estate. Chris felt the room spin. That evening, neighbors saw something they never expected. Chris, outside, holding a bucket, fetching water. Quietly. People gasped. Some laughed. Some recorded videos. The once feared man of Surulere had become a house husband. And that was only the beginning. The next morning at exactly 6 a.m., Chris stepped outside again, this time holding a mop and a bucket of soapy water. Neighbors nearly dropped their phones. This was the same Chris who used to shout, "A whole man cannot be doing woman work." Yet here he was scrubbing the corridor like a cleaner at mile 2 bus stop. People whispered, "Is that Chris? Abi my eye day pain me? Who force him do this thing? Irene Don Charmam?" Someone even recorded him from the balcony and uploaded it with the caption, "When karma finally catches that one man in your estate inside the apartment," the transformation was even more shocking. Chris cooked breakfast, burning the eggs and salty beans included. He washed the dishes. He ironed Irene's clothes. He folded laundry. He even said things like, "Please Irene, how do you like your tea?" A sentence he had never used with Amanda. If Chris tried to complain or drag feet, Irene would calmly unlock her phone and show him screenshots, chats, reports, voice notes. Enough evidence to destroy his life in Lagos and beyond. Suddenly, Chris became very obedient. But of course, ego is a stubborn thing. One afternoon, Chris mustered some courage. He approached Irene while she worked on her laptop. "Irene, all this thing way you day make me do, it don't do. I be man." She didn't even look up. And so, embarrassed by the casual dismissal, Chris's old anger ignited. He lifted his hand, again, out of habit. That was his mistake. Before Chris could swing, Irene grabbed the nearest broom, stood up, and took a single threatening step toward him. Chris stepped back. She stepped forward. Chris stepped back again. And suddenly, the man who once terrorized Surulere began running down the corridor like a child being chased for stealing meat from a pot. Residents heard the commotion and rushed out. Phones came out. Record buttons flashed. "Omo see Chris. Chris day run oh. What'n he do this woman? Ha. God don catch him." The broom became legendary. It wasn't even touching him, but the fear in Chris's eyes said enough. He sprinted around the building, yelling, "Irene, please let's talk. Drop the broom." But Irene kept following in slow, controlled steps like a villain in a Nollywood thriller. And someone captured it. Oh yes. The 14-second clip that shook Lagos. Within hours, Chris's humiliation went nationwide. Instagram reels, Twitter trends, TikTok duets, Facebook memes. Everyone was laughing. Even celebrities reposted it. "See as Chris day run like he thief phone. If your husband misbehave, get yourself Irene." Chris locked himself indoors for 2 days straight. The same man who once walked Surulere like a lion now couldn't step outside because the whole city knew his shame. After the broom incident, something broke inside Chris. His voice softened. His shoulders dropped. His eyes avoided contact. He no longer argued. He no longer raised his hand. He no longer acted like a king. He became someone who finally understood consequences. Even when Irene simply looked at her phone, he washed dishes faster. When she coughed, he swept the living room twice. When she sighed, he ran to the kitchen. Do you want tea? Hot water? Juice? Anything. Neighbors couldn't believe it. While Chris became the humblest househusband in Surulere, Irene focused on her goals. Her online clothing store exploded with orders. She hired staff, opened a small showroom, started attending fashion exhibitions. People admired her confidence, her strength, her discipline. And when they whispered, "How did you tame that man?" she simply smiled and said, "Bullies only win when nobody stands up to them." Every few months, Irene visited a quiet cemetery on Lagos Island. She stood in front of Amanda's grave, gently touching the headstone. "Rest," she whispered. "No one will suffer under him again. I promise you." Back in Surulere, Chris remained a changed man. He spoke softly, worked quietly, avoided trouble. No one feared him anymore. Instead, they pitied him. And the story of Chris and Irene became a lesson told in schools, homes, and churches. Power isn't control. Strength isn't violence. And karma always finds its way.